from Institute of Science and Technology Ramapuram is pleased to present a comprehensive national level 3-week research methodology course. This course is meticulously designed to provide participants with essential knowledge and skills in research techniques, empowering them to conduct high quality academic and industry oriented research. The program targets academicians, research scholars, professionals, and students who aspire to enhance their research capabilities in the fields of finance, accounting, and allied disciplines. Let's commence the session with Tamil Taivarthu. Thank you. I now request Dr. V. Deepa ma'am, Program Coordinator at Department of Accounting and Finance, to present the welcome address.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the National Level 3 Weeks Research Methodology course organized by the Department of Commerce, Accounting and Finance at SRM IST Ramapuram campus. We are deeply honored to have Dr. K. Ramasamy, College Librarian at M.V. Muthaiya Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul, Tamil Nadu, as our esteemed chief guest today. I extend a warm ritual welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. In absentia, I would also like to acknowledge and extend a heartfelt welcome to our Dean, Dr. C. Sundar, our Vice Principal of Administration, Dr. J. Dilipan, and our Department Head, Dr. Chitra Srinivasan, for their continuous support. A special welcome to all the participants, including faculty members and research scholars from SRM, as well as our colleagues, research scholars, and postgraduate students from other esteemed institutions. I am confident that this course will significantly enrich your research endeavors and fosters meaningful learning and collaboration. I wish you all a productive and inspiring experience. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I request Dr. Alamelu ma'am to introduce the guest for the session.
Yes, ma. Thank you. Good evening, one and all present here. Um, uh, I'm very privileged to read out the profile of today's chief guest, Dr. K. Ramasamy, sir. He is presently working as a college librarian at M.V. Muthaiya Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul, Tamil Nadu. His academic distinctions are: he has secured 3 gold medals in BCOP and university second rank in both BLISC and MLIS Science, obtained a postgraduate degree in commerce in in the year 2000. He cleared SLET once, JRF twice, and UGC NET 6 times, and honored for this feat in India Book of Records 2022, and completed his PhD in the year 2017 at Madurai Kamaraj University. He worked as a school librarian in Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangatan in Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu from 1997 to 2014. He serves in Tamil Nadu Collegiate Service since 2014. He has published 99 papers in national and international conferences and seminars, published 99 articles in national and international peer reviewed journals. He has contributed around 132 book chapters in edited books, published 9 books in library and information science. He has got 2 patents. He has won several best paper awards in various conferences and seminars. He is a recipient of minor research project grants. Then he has also got rupees 1 lakh from Tamil Nadu State Council for Higher Education, Tanshi, Government of Tamil Nadu. And he is acting as a DC member for 3 PhD scholars in LIS Madurai, Kamaraj University, 1 scholar at GRI Gandhigram. Presently, he is guiding 4 part-time scholars in library and information science at Mother Teresa Women's University, Kodaikanal. He has also delivered 193 face to face invited talks at various venues as the invited speaker and resource person. And he has also delivered 105 online video lectures as the invited speakers and resource person. And he has been a resource person for UGC NET coaching classes, academic counselor of IGNOW, resource person for Tamil Nadu Open University, and MLI Science program. And he had also attended 27 seminars, workshops, and 149 online academic programs, attended 1 orientation programs, and he has been a course coordinator for 2 online courses in the year 2020, organized more than 25 scout camps in South India, organized 24 seminars, conferences, workshops, including international seminars, and 1 Tansky sponsored national seminars and 4 national level webinars. He has got 1 ICSSR sponsored national webinar and 1 international virtual conference. He has been an associated editor of 2 conference volumes, an editor of 11 edited books, associate editor of 3 journals, and reviewer of 3 journals. He has been a member board of studies of 2 colleges. Then he has been a member board of studies in Mother Teresa University, Kodaikanal, Vellalar College for Women at Erode, and Bishop Heber College. Then he has served as a seminar director, co-organizing secretary, chairperson, and rapporteur general of various conferences. And he has created more than 10 academic blogs in WordPress domain, college library blogs, subject gateways, question banks, scouts, NCF, and library report station, etc. Then he has been an IQAC deputy coordinator during the year 2020 to 2021 and from 2022 to 2023. And he also conducted various student development program, information literary skills for PG second year students. Then he also conducted institutional level workshops for PG students of commerce, economics, geography on statistical analysis on using SPSS package since 2023. He has received a Best Librarian Award from KVS in the year 2012, Kalvi Ratna Award in 2020, Best Librarian Award in 2020, then Edge India Award for Excellence in Research in 2020. Then in 2021, he received a National Best Librarian Award, Tamil Nadu Best Librarian Award, Outstanding Service Award from MALA in September, October 2022. And the list goes on. Best Librarian Award in the year 2022. Then his areas of research interest are user studies, then institutional repository, school libraries, open source softwares, and statistical packages and scientometrics. Very, very happy to welcome you, sir, for this research methodology program. I will hand over the session to you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Most respected and honorable, the organizing team behind this 3 weeks program, and my dear friend Dr. Deepa, and the faculty members, research scholars, and other participants of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, the same set of participants from other institutions. A very, very pleasant and joyful evening to each and every one of you. It gives me immense pleasure to be part of this particular program. And when I was going through the schedule, I was very happy to know that the first and foremost work to be done in research, starting from there till the publication of papers, each and every topic was covered in this 3 weeks program. So, how to identify a research topic, that means how to identify research gap, where from you can get review of literature, what are steps in writing a review of literature, how to set the objectives and research questions for your study, whether you can go for quantitative studies or qualitative studies or survey method or experiment methods, and what are different methods for collecting data using surveys, questionnaires, or schedules and all, using both traditional and modern tools. After collecting data, what kinds of statistical tools you can apply on your data. Once it is done, once your paper is ready, you go for checking the paper against plagiarism, how to take care of the problem of plagiarism in a research paper. Once a paper is ready, how to send it to various journals, how to select the journals, how to get yourself avoided from the so-called predatory journals, how to judge the quality of the journals before you decide whether you are going to publish a paper in that particular journal or not. So the whole process, the whole stream of research work was discussed in length in these 3 weeks program. So I'm very happy that after knowing all these tools, techniques, and methodologies, you have chosen a research area, you have prepared a paper, you prepared a journal, you selected a journal, you publish your research paper. Fine. So we all do research. We all do research, whether PG students, our faculty members, our research scholars, our 10% full-time researchers. We all do research for many purposes. Maybe thanks to NAC or NARF or NBA and such other kinds of world rankings, we have a mechanism to instill the habit of doing research. Or I am more bothered about my career advancement. I want to move from assistant professor to associate professor. I want to get new appointments in a higher scale in other institutions. Or if you take the case of research scholars, it is a must that they have to publish 2 papers before their synopsis or thesis will be accepted by the university. And out of our own interest. So all these reasons contribute to the reason why we publish papers. Fine. So using all these methodology, we publish papers. See, once the papers are published, next question comes to your mind is how to measure the research productivity of the individual researcher. How can we say to what extent a researcher, a faculty member, is successful in his research career? Maybe some 60 to 70 years before, we used to ask questions like this. Sir, how many papers have you published? If a faculty says that I have published some 200 papers, he is deemed to be the greatest researcher. Some 40 years before, we started asking another set of questions. Okay, you have published 200 papers. In how many national journals? In how many international journals? Whether these journals were peer reviewed or not, whether these journals bear ISSN number or not, whether these journals are available online or only print copies available. So we started asking next set of questions. So these questions helped us to understand the research productivity of the faculty members or the individual researchers. But of late, last 20 to 30 years, we just don't not only bother about the number of publications, we started asking questions about the research impact of the individuals. See, you may be having some 100 plus papers in your profile, but what is the impact of your research in the community or in the area where your research is being focused upon? Whether your papers are being cited by others, well received by others, acknowledged by others, criticized by others. So we started worrying about the impact of your research productivity. See, when you talk about the research impact, traditionally, a tool called citation has been kept as a benchmark to evaluate the research impact of the individuals. So, we talk about citations. So, what is citations? Very simple. Whenever you take your content from others, maybe others' ideas, their methodology, their objectives, their research questions, their findings, their suggestions. So, you take some ideas, some content from others' research paper, and you are using it in your research paper, and you formally acknowledge that you have taken the content from others. So that is what is called a citation. So normally how the citation goes on, see, you are writing a research paper. In your research paper, in the second page, for example, in the third paragraph, you have taken 4-line content from my paper, for example. Okay. So what you do in your research paper, second page, third paragraph, either you write one, you give a Roman letter, or you write my name, Ramasamy, comma, year of publication of the paper in the second page, third paragraph. Then you come to the bottommost portion of your research paper. There's something called references or works cited or bibliography. There, you give complete details about my publication, my name, my initial, year of publication, title of the research paper, name of the journal, volume number, issue number, page number, DOI, URL, and all those things. So when these two things are done, then myself, Ramasamy, will get one citation. Fine. So citation is very clear. Good. Why do we cite? Why do we cite others' papers? Very, very simple. Because the content what I have included in my paper is not my content. I have borrowed this content from Mr. X or Mr. Y or from Ramasamy. So I should give credit to the original author who has created, who has contributed this particular content. And secondly, whenever you're writing a research paper, you have some kind of arguments, a point of view. So you feel there's a point of view that girl students spend more hours for their studies than male students. So when you have got this kind of point of view, so you are trying to find out other people, those who support your point, those who support your argument. So you need citations. And if you want to get yourself freed from the menace of plagiarism, and if you want to prove that you are a credible author, you should cite the sources that you used. And most importantly, when you give the list of references, the following researchers, your successors, when they happen to see your paper, they will be able to locate and read all the reference that you included. So because of all these reasons, you cite papers. Now your biggest challenge comes in front of you. What is the challenge? Sir, okay, sir, you write paper, you get citations. But if I have published 10 papers, how do I know whether all my 10 papers got citation or not? Or only 5 papers got citations? If at all I got some citations, who have cited my papers? In which year I have cited my papers are cited? See, how can I find out the citation information, citation details about my papers? That was the biggest trouble for all of us. Then came something called citation index. Citation index, nothing but a database where you can find out which later documents are citing which earlier documents. It's very simple. See, this particular citation index was first used by Shepherds in 1873 for legal court cases where they need to cite what was the judgment given for a similar case in the earlier days. But when you talk about academically, the citation database was introduced in 1960 by the gentleman Eugene Garfield, the founder of Institute for Scientific Information. It is he who started Science Citation Index, Social Sciences Citation Index, and Arts and Humanities Citation Index, which forms the core of Web of Science. Fine. And of late, there are many databases. For example, you have Web of Science, Scopus, both are commercial databases. Apart from these commercial databases, we have CiteSeed, Indian Citation Index, Google Scholar, Dimensions, PubMed, and many more databases where you can get the citation information free of cost. Fine. For example, CiteSeer is a citation database. I just went to CiteSeer. I typed cell biology, and these are results. Once you get the results, you can see here cited by. See, this particular paper is cited by around 800 people. This paper is cited by some 2,400 people. If you just give a click on this option, you can see all the papers that you cited appearing on the screen. You can find out how many people have cited, who cited, from which journal, in which time, how many times. You can easily find out. Similarly, go to Google Scholar. I just type digital library. I get the result. You can see here cited by 708, cited by 563, cited by 180. So you just click on this, you will get the list of papers that cited your paper. Okay, fine, you can find out. Then you can go to PubMed, the database from National Library of Medicine. I just typed lung cancer. I got the results. You click any one particular paper. The right side, you can see an option called cited by. Just click on cited by. You will come to understand who and all have cited your paper. Good. So, using either commercial databases or the so-called free databases, you come to understand how many citations you have received for your various papers. So as of now, we know how many papers we have published and how many citations I have received for various papers. So with these two things, that is number of publications, number of citations, what can we do to either measure the research productivity of the individuals or to guess the research impact of their publications? That is where we talk about today's topic called author metrics. The metrics that can be used by the scholars and the researchers to measure both their research productivity and to measure their research impact, which can be used by them either for their career advancement or for NAC purposes or for their promotion or their performance reviews. Fine, good. So, to measure the research impact of individual faculty member, so we have got lot of author metrics, sizably around 50 different research indices are available for us to measure the research impact. But for today's presentation, I would like to cover as many indices as possible. I'll tell you. Fine. We'll start with a matrix called Hutch Index, a very, very popular matrix, which have been used by all academia over the country and over the world. And a metric which is being recognized by either UGC or NAC or this NRF, all those people. Fine. Hutch Index, the index which was proposed by a a physicist, I can say, J.E. Hurst, who was working in University of California in the year 2005. He introduced an index called Hutch Index, which is named after him. See, this gentleman wanted to measure the relative quality of the physical scientists, physicists, those who are working in the university. So he brought out an index called Hutch Index. So Hutch Index can be used to measure the research impact of an individual person or an individual department or an individual country or an individual journal or an individual university and so on and so forth. And this particular index takes into account two things. One is your scientific productivity and other is the impact of your research publications. And the formula goes this way. Hutch Index is the highest number of papers that a scientist has written that have each received at least that number of citations. Very simple. If you say that Deepa madam has got a Hutch Index of 5, it means that all her 5 publications have received at least 5 citations each. First paper, minimum 5 citations. Second paper, minimum 5 citations. Third paper, minimum 5. Fourth paper, minimum 5. Fifth paper, minimum 5. If that is the case, her Hutch Index is 5. If my Hutch Index is only 3, it means that 3 of my papers have received at least 3 citations each. I mean at least. Maximum it can be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, but minimum 3 should be there. And that is what Hutch Index is. Fine, good. For example, here's an author. He has published 10 research papers. Okay. And I have seen what is citation received by all these 10 papers. And all these 10 papers are arranged in the decreasing order of number of citations obtained by them. See, the paper with 70 citations is ranked 1. The paper that received 12 citations has got second rank. So this way, all the 10 papers are arranged in the decreasing order. The ranks are given accordingly. Now, how to calculate H index? You have to see these two things, citation and rank. The point, the break-even point where both citations and rank are one and the same, or the citations are more than the rank, that break-even point is taken to be the H index. See, 71, 12, 2, 6, 3, 5, 4, and 5 is equal to 5. It means that all the 5 papers written by this particular author have received at least 5 citations, at least 5. Suppose if the same author wants to increase the search index from 5 to 6, then he has to get 6 minimum 6 citations for his fourth paper, 6 citations for fifth paper, 6 citations for sixth paper. Then his H index will become 6. Fine, good. But the problem with the H index is that H index is being provided by Web of Science, Scopus, and Google Scholar. And sometimes the H index of the same author in all three databases vary from each other. For example, if you take this particular author, first author Alexander, his H index is 32 in Web of Science, 30 in Scopus, and 20 in Google Scholar. There are many reasons why it differs, but you can get H index from different databases. Good. But another weakness of H index is that, see, for example, you can see here, there are two authors, A and B. A has got a H index of 4, just with his 47 citations. And author B has got a H index of 3, though he has got 197 citations. So to be more frank, if you want a H index of 3, you just need to have only 9 citations, 3, 3, 3. But this particular author, though he is having 197 citations, he has got only H index of 3. That means the citations which is over and above the number that he needs for H index, we call them as excess citations, are ignored. So excess citations are not given any importance in H index. Fine, good. But still, H index is the most widely used research index in many occasions. Good. Okay. Then comes, there's another index Kosmulski introduced. See, he introduced an index called H square index, not H index, H square index. And he says if your H square index is 10, it means that 10 into 10, 100. That means all your 10 papers have received at least 100 citations. Fine. If your H square index is 5 means 5 into 5, 25. All your 5 papers should have received 25 citations. Fine. That is how H square index is calculated. Okay. Fine. Then comes CH index and CH square index. See, when you are calculating H index and H square index, we are not removing the self citations. See, what are self citations? When I am writing a research paper, I am citing my own paper. Fine, that's called self citations. These self citations were not ignored, were not removed in the calculation of H index or H square index. But here, CH index, when you're calculating, whatever self citations you have received, remove the self citations and count the number of citations received by each and every one of your papers, excluding self citations. You calculate H index, that is called CH index. H index without self citations. In the same way, when you are calculating H square index, remove the count of self citations. The H square index calculated without self citation is called as CH square index. Fine. This is another variation. Then comes another index which was introduced in 2006 by Leo Eggy called G index. See, G index is better than H index because it is going to be more in number, and it tries to give importance not only to the very limited citations, but it tries to give importance to a whole set of citations received by your papers. See, the formula goes this way. G index is the largest number such that the top G articles receive together at least G square citations. Fine. And how G index is calculated? Please have a look at the screen. Here, we are calculating the cumulative citations received by the papers. First paper has got 70 citations. Second paper has got 12 citations. First two papers together have received 82 citations. First three papers have received together 88 citations. So this way, you calculate the cumulative score of citations received by all the 10 papers or the 11 papers. First point. And secondly, whatever rank you received, you square the rank. 1 into 1, 1, 2 into 2, 4, 3 into 3, 9. Fine, you square. In the case of H index, you have used citations and rank. In the case of G index, we are using the cumulative score of citations and the squared rank. Very same procedure. You compare the cumulative citation score and the squared rank. Either both should be same or number of citations should be more than the square rank. If it's that way, you can come here. This particular author's G index is 10. How come? All the 10 papers have received 114 citations and the square of 10 is 100. Here, the number of citation is more than the square rank. Okay. So, G index for this particular author is 10. Good. Yes. And this is another example for calculating H index and G index. Good. And where can you find these H indexes? Where can you find it? If you go to Web of Science gives H index for each and every author. Or you go to Scopus, there is a site called Scopus Preview. You can go to Scopus Preview, click on author search. You can go and search for either for yourself or any of other authors. And they provide H index for the authors. Scopus provides it in the website called Scopus Preview, which is available free of cost. Good. Then comes I-10 index. When Google Scholar was introduced in 2011, Google Scholar has introduced a new research index called I-10 index, which is used by most of the researchers. So very simple. How many of your papers have received at least 10? That is 10 or more than 10 citations. If you say that, sir, there are 10 papers authored by me. Out of 10 papers, 5 papers have got 10 or more citations each. Then your I-10 index should be 5. And Google Scholar is free of cost. You can go and create an account if you're having a Gmail ID, and you can get your I-10 index free of cost in Google Scholar. Good. Yes. And this is my Google Scholar ID. You can see the total citations received by me, and my H index is 6. That is, out of my papers, there are 6 papers. Each have received at least 6 citations. And my I-10 index is 3. That means 3 of my papers have received 10 or more than 10 citations. Good. Then, see, I was just casually searching for the Google Scholar profiles of few of the faculty members of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram. Kindly pardon me because these are the Google Scholar profiles randomly received in the first or second page. Okay, fine. And this is a profile of Dr. Gunasegaran K. I think SAR is from the Department of Commerce. And SAR's H index is 4 and his I-10 index is 1. Another example from same institute, Dr. Alagiri Mahendran. SAR citation is 75, H index is 5, and I-10 index is 2. Then Dr. Aarti R, ma'am. Madam has got around 175 citations with a H index of 6 and I-10 index of 5. Then I was really wondered at this particular researcher, Dr. T. Mayalagan from SRM campus. And see, he has got around 17,000 citations His H index is 64 and his item index is 207. That is, his 207 papers have received 10 or more than 10 citations. I should say, greatest researcher. I should salute him. Fine, good. So that's about item index. Then comes M quotient. See, when you're calculating H index or G index using only number of citations, number of publications, there are some issues. See, for example, there is a gentleman who joined SRM Institute some 2 years before. There is another gentleman who joined SRM some 12 years before. There is another gentleman who joined SRM some 20 years before. See, just with the help of H index, how can you compare the research productivity and the research impact of all these three individuals who have got different career length? Do you think that the same H index will be used for evaluating the research impact of these three different faculty members, those who are having different career experience? No, it should not be. So, the same author, Hirsch, who introduced H index, he introduced another concept called the M quotient, where the number of years you are in the field of publication is taken into consideration for the purpose of calculating M quotient. So, M quotient is equal to the researcher's H index divided by the number of years since his or her first publication. Okay, fine. See, for example, here on the screen, first author, H index of 8, but he has been in the publication field only for the last 4 years. Other author, H index 24, but he has been in the field for 8 years in the publication field. Since last 8 years, he has been publishing papers. Now, I am calculating M quotient, H index divided by number of years since first paper. So I get M quotient of 2, 3, 2.66 and 2.22. So here, the fourth author, though he has got a H index of 40 with 18 years of experience, his M quotient is only 2.22, while the author number 2, who is having a H index of 24, then experience of 8 years, and got a H index, M quotient of 3. Here, in the M quotient, we request that the career experience, publication experience of the author is also to be taken into consideration while you are evaluating their research impact. Fine. See, if your M quotient is less than 1, then you are an average researcher. If it is between 1 and 2, you are above average. 2 to 3, you are an excellent researcher. And more than 3, you are the topmost. Good. Yes. That's about M quotient. Then comes, there's an index called M index, which was proposed by Boneman and all in the year 2008. See, M index is nothing but the median number of citations received by papers in the H score. So very simple. So we are using median. Median is the number in statistics that divides the entire data number series into two halves. 50% above, 50% below. Median is such a number. Fine. Good. For example, I will explain it with an example. Here there are two researchers. First researcher has published 20 papers. You can see his citations 47, 42, 37, 36, and so on. And second researcher, he has published 20 papers and his citations range from 20, 20, 18 to 5. Here, when I calculate the H index is 13 for first researcher and 13 for second researcher. Okay, it is same. H index is same. But I want to calculate how can I differentiate these two authors, okay, in using a particular, this particular tool. See, it goes this way, okay. For example, first author, I arranged all the 20 papers in the decreasing order and he has got a H index of 13. So whatever papers he had less than 13 citations, they are called H tail. I have removed them. Only the papers which are included in the H core, that is the papers that helped him to get a H index of 13, only those papers are included. They are called H core papers. And I am finding out the median of this H4 papers. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 the top. So 17 is his M index. Okay. The same way, second researcher, I have removed the H tail papers. Only H core papers are taken into consideration. The median of H core papers is 14. So M index of second research is 14. So though both the researchers have got a H index of 13, using M index you can differentiate who has performed better. See, obviously you can see here first researcher is better because his citations are comparatively more in numbers, 47, 42, 37, 36. So he is better than the first author. So you can use M index for this particular purpose. That is, when two authors having the same H index, you can make use of M index to differentiate who has received, who has done better in terms of citations. Good? Yes. This is an example for M index and M quotient. Then comes E index. See, E index was proposed by Zhong, a Chinese author, and very relevant index. See, the problem what I was discussing with you couple of minutes was that in the calculation of H index, the excess citations were not taken into consideration. See, for example, two authors are there, C and D. C's H index is 5, D's H index is 5, but you see number of citations, D has got 48, C has got 237 citations. So obviously author C has got more citations, well more than the number of citations he required to have H index of 5. To be more frank, to have H index of 5, 5 into 5, only 25 citations are required. But he is having 237 citations. So how can we differentiate the authors with a similar H index based on the excess citations that they received? That is what the concept of E index is all about. Fine. How to calculate E index? I'll give an example. There's an author called A. A has got 3,568 citations altogether, and his H index is 51. So you need to calculate what is the minimum number of citations that he needs to get H index of 51. How many? 51 into 51, 2601. That means if you want a H index of 51, minimum you should have received 2,601 citations. That is more than sufficient. But what about the excess citations? See, he has already received 3568. How many is required? Only 2601. So 3568 minus 2601 is equal to 967. That is, this particular author has got 967 excess citations. You find out the square root of 967, that is his E index. So E index of author A is 31.09. Now, let me go back to this particular screen where there are three authors. These are total citations obtained by them. H index, you see, is almost equal, 5150. But out of these three authors, in terms of excess citations, who tops? Who has performed better? So I calculate excess citations. I calculate the square root of these excess citations. I get the E index. You see the E index? 31 for first author, 54 for second author, and 114 is for third author. So obviously, author 3, who has got around 12,000 citations extra over and above the count required for his H index, he tops E index. So, in addition to H index, this E index also can be used to supplement to reflect the research impact of the individual authors. Fine, good. Then comes Scopus author matrix, which was introduced by Scopus in July 2023. That is called author position metric. See, normally the Scopus has decided to have 4 different categories of authors. Based on these 4 categories, they will give you the research impact. See, there are some papers in which your name is the first author, you are the first author. There will be some papers, you are the last author. There are some papers wherein you are the solo authors, only one, that is you. And there are some papers where your position is neither first author nor last author, or maybe the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. So there are four different author positions as recognized by Scopus. Now, for example, I just go to Scopus. I search for one particular author. You can see here on the screen right side, author position metrics. See, this particular author, he was the first author in three papers, only three papers. And this is the average citations. And this is the field weighted citation for his three papers. And he's the last author in 104 papers. He has got an average of 204 citations. And he was the co-author in 70 papers, for which he got 168 average citations. And he was the only author in 10 papers, single authored papers, for which he received 53 average citations. So this is another kind of new metrics which was introduced by Scopus last year, which helps you to fabricate the authorship positions and related impact of your positions. This is a new dimension in research metrics. You can try this. But when I was interested, I just went to Scopus preview, which is available free of cost. But there, they don't provide this metrics. That means, unless otherwise you're having a subscribed version of Scopus, you will not be able to find out this author position metrics of Scopus. Good. Okay. Then comes individual Hutch index, which was proposed by Batista and others in the year 2006. This was an interesting concept. See, when you say that you got a Hutch index of 10, see, it doesn't mean that it is only your Hutch index. Why? Because to prepare these 10 articles, you might have joined hands with so many other authors, and so many authors coming together, you got a Hutch index of 10. So, this is not the Hutch index of one individual, this is a Hutch index of a collective number of authors. So, this particular author called Batista, he proposes that you have to find out the individual Hutch index of an individual author. How to calculate is very simple. Hutch index divided by average number of authors in the articles contributing to the Hutch index. Very simple. For example, let us take one author called X. His Hutch index is 10. Only 10 papers, okay. He might have done more, but his Hutch index is 10. And how many authors are there in all the 10 papers taken together? 28 authors are there. Altogether, there are 28 authors. What is the average number of authors? 28 authors divided by 10 papers. So, 2.8. It's the average number of authors per paper. Now, you can calculate the individual Hutch index. Hutch index 10 divided by average number of authors 2.8 is equal to 3.57. So your Hutch index is only 3.57, not 10, because all the 28 authors have collectively contributed these many citations. That means all the efforts of all the 28 authors have drawn these many citations. So this is shared among all the authors. This is another concept by Batista, individual Hutch index. Fine. Then comes, similarly, when Batista proposed individual Hutch index, there are other authors who propose similar number of indices called average citation Hutch index and normalized individual Hutch index. Two different indices. We'll sum one by one. One is normalized individual Hutch index, which was proposed by Herzing in 2007 in the software called Publish or Perish. So I think you might have heard about this software, POP, which is very good in calculating your Hutch index. It is good for literature review and many purposes. Fine. And here, how are we going to calculate the normalized individual Hutch index? Very simple. Hutch index divided by normalized citation count. We are not taking the citation count. We are normalizing the citation count, and the normalized citation count is taken for the purpose of calculating Hutch index. I'll give an example. You see here. There's an author with 9 papers, number of authors, number of citations. Good. He's got a Hutch index of 8. Now we are going to calculate normalized individual Hutch index. We are going to normalize the citation count. How to calculate? Number of citation divided by number of authors. 66 divided by 3, 54 divided by 2, 49 divided by 1. So I get normalized citation count. Based on the normalized citation count, I arrange all the 9 papers once again in decreasing order. Paper with 49 normalized count tops, followed by 27, 27. Now I check for paper rank and normalized citation count to find the Hutch index. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 papers have received at least 6 citations. So his normalized Hutch index is 6. Fine. So this is another version. And what about Hutch A index? Hutch A index is also very simple. It says you are going to rank the number of citations divided by number of years. Okay. The previously we divided by number of authors, and here we are going to divide by number of years since publication. If you calculate, that is called Hutch A index. See, for example, first author, first paper got 66 citations. This paper was published 10 years before. So 66 divided by 10, the normalized citation count is 6.6. After calculating the normalized citation count, arrange all the papers, you calculate Hutch A index, which is 4. So what these authors suggest is that, see, when the papers written by authors, due weightage should be given to number of authors. Due weightage should be given to the number of years since when or year before the paper was published. So based on that, they give different versions of Hutch index. Good. Yes. So this is a POP software. It's a free software. You can download. You can go and analyze Google data. You can go and download data from Web of Science that can be analyzed. And POP provides all these things. Hutch index, G index, H1 normal, HA index, all these things are given free of cost in POP software. You can download and try, please. Okay. Then comes HG index, which was proposed by Alonso and others in 2010. See, this is very simple. See, you talk about H index, you talk about G index. Why shouldn't we calculate the geometric mean of both these indices? Very simple. You have H index of an author. For example, you take Brown, H index 25, G index 38. You multiply these two, H index by G index. Whatever answer the product you get, you find the square root. That's called the geometric mean of H index and G index. That is called HG index. That is, you are giving importance to both H index and G index, and you get HG index. This is another version. Fine, you can try. Then comes an interesting index called C index, which was given to us by Somnath Chattopadhyaya in the year 2022. Fine. It's very interesting. You can see here. See, here we are not bothered about the number of citations you received, but we bother about two different things. One is, what is your nature of collaboration? So when you publish papers, you have authors from other continents, other countries, other states, other institutions, or the same institutions. Depending on the nature of collaboration, the weightage is given to each and every paper. See, for example, when you are publishing a paper, if one author is from another continent, you get 1 score for your research paper. See, and when you have got an author who is from another country but not from another continent, then you have got 0.7 weightage for each and every paper. When two authors of the same country but from two different institutions, you get a weightage of 0.3 for your research paper. But there are two authors, both are from same institute called SRM Institute, you get 0.1 weightage for each research paper. Fine. So you multiply by each paper. For example, you got 60 papers. Out of that, 18 papers belong to K1 category, 17 papers belong to K2 category, and 16 papers belong to K3 category, and 9 papers belong to K1 category. You multiply 18 into 1, 17 into 0.7, 16 into 0.3, and 9 into 0.1. That total tells you what is your C index without journal category weightage. That means we are not bothered about the journal you have published a paper, we bother only about the nature of collaboration and we calculate the C index without journal ranking. Good. And what about C index with the journal ranking? Very simple. See, either you go to Web of Sciences Scopus, they say that all the journals can be categorized into 4 quarters. Okay. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. Fine. And it is very, very difficult to publish papers in quarter 1, and it's somewhat easy to publish papers in quarter 4. So this particular author, Chattopadhyaya, has given weightage to the journal quarter. For example, if you publish a paper in quarter 1, you get 1 weightage. Quarter 2 journal, you get 0.75. Quarter 3 journal, you got 0.5. And quarter 4 journal, you get 0.25 weightage. Fine. See, after calculating the C index without the journal ranking, you have to multiply the quarter weight called 1.75, 0.5, 0.25. That total gives you the C index with journal ranking. So it's something a different concept, a concept which doesn't take into consideration number of citations, but they take into consideration 2 things. One is the nature of collaboration, and secondly, the prestigious the prestigiousness of the journal, whether you publish a journal article in Q1 or Q2 or Q3 or Q4. It's very interesting. You can try this. Then comes BH index, an index which was proposed by Bharati from CLRI Chennai. Fine. Actually, Hutch index, since his name is Bharati, he made this BH index. Okay, it's very simple. See, in BH index, Dr. Bharati talks about giving weightage to the papers. See, for example, this particular author has got 10 research papers, number of citations received for all the 10 papers, and what is Hutch index? 6, because 6 of his papers have received at least 6 citations. So he has taken 6 as the base and he multiplies it by 2, 6 into 12, 12 into 24, 24 into 40. This way it goes on. He just multiplies the Hutch index by 2 every time. He got this geometric sequence. Based on this sequence, he frames a class intervals, 6 to 11, 12 to 23, 24 to 47. So he fixes the range of citations. Now, he is giving weightage. For this, 1 weightage. For this range, 2 weightage. For this range, 6 weightage. So weightage is given. Now he finds out how many papers have received 6 to 11 citations. How many are there? Only these 2 papers have received 6 to 11. So we are taking into consideration only these citations. Only the papers which are found in Hutch core. We don't include Hutch tail papers. Okay, fine. So how many papers have received 6 to 11 citations? 2 papers. So 2. He multiplies 1 into 2, 2. So this way, he calculates and he finds out B Hutch index. So in this case, though the Hutch index is only 6, the B Hutch index is 16 because we are giving weightage to the papers with a different number of citations. The papers with the less citations are getting lesser weightage. The papers with the more citations are getting more weightage. It's a different index. Then comes a new index. We could see this particular index, which was published in August 2024 in University News. An issue which was published by Association of Indian Universities. One Dr. Prem Virath, he introduced 2 indices. One is P index and the other is V index. Very simple to calculate, but his approach is very good. You can see here how to calculate P index. See, we have been talking about different kinds of indices, and almost all the indices they talk about citations, and they talk about only the citations received by the papers included only in the Hutch core. So they don't bother about the citations received by the papers which are below Hutch index row, that is called Hutch tail papers. That's why Prem Virat sir has brought out a new index called P index, where, very simple, see, the square root of total number of citations received by all the papers. See, we are not bothered about Hutch core, Hutch tail. You take all the papers, total citations received by all your papers, you find the square root, that is called your P index. See, for example, let me take into this example, JS, author JS. Total citations of this particular author is 96115. You just find out the square root, that comes to 310, which is his P index. So it's very, very, very novel idea where we are giving importance to citations received by all the papers, not only H score papers. That's about P index. Okay. What about V index? It's a very simple one. So V index is equal to square root of total citation divided by A normalized. What is this A normalized? Average number of authors per paper for that particular person. So do you know total citations? Now, how to calculate A normalized? Very simple. If you have done 10 papers, you find out how many authors are there in every paper, you total all the authors. Divided by number of papers, that is 10. For example, you got some 30 authors all together in all the 10 papers. So 30 divided by 10 papers. So average 3 authors. Fine. Very simple. For example, here I'll tell you. So number of papers, 7 papers are there written by one particular author. Number of authors, and this is a number of citations. So total paper 7. How many authors are there? 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 1 plus 6 plus 4. 25 authors are there. What is the average number of authors? 25 authors divided by 7 papers. It gives you 3.57 authors per paper. Good. What are the total citations? You total 322 plus 250, all those total, you get, you go all these citations, you get 914 is total citations. So total citations divided by normalized A, and the square root of that is equal to 16. That is a V index. There's another beautiful index by Prem Rath. Good. Okay. Then comes, there are other indices called A index, which was published in 2007. Very simple calculation. It talks about average number of citations received by the publications included in the H score. See, whatever papers are in the H score, whatever papers are there, if you find out the average number of citations, that is called A index. Very simple calculation. Let us not break out here. Then comes R index and AR index. There are two different kinds of indexes. R index nothing but, it's very simple, not nothing but square root of the sum of citations received in the H score. See, Prem Virad told you take all the citations, and they are telling here you take only the citations received by the papers included in the H score. The square root of those many citations is equal to your R index. Very simple. Then comes AR index, which was proposed by Bihu Jain. Okay, it's very simple. So the square root of sum of the average number of citations per year. So we are calculating the normalized score. Then we are calculating the sum of that. Then you are squaring it to get this AR index. Okay, good. I think I'll take 5 more minutes, please. Then comes Q square index, which was proposed by Gabrizzo and others. So here what they do is that, see, if you have calculated H index and M index of particular author, you multiply and get the product of these two values, H index multiplied by M index. Then you calculate the square root of these two indices, and that comes Q square index. Okay, you can try this index also. Then comes W index, which was proposed by View. Yeah, it is a very, very simple index. It's called 10H index. Whatever H index you are having, no, it's called a 10H index. That means if you say that your W index is 10, it means that 10 into 10, 100. Each of your paper should have received 100 citations. If you say that your W index is 24, it means 24 into 10. See, any number you multiply by 10. 24 into 10, 240. That means all your 24 papers have received at least 240 citations. Then your W index is 24. If your W index is 3, it means that 3 into 10, 30. Each of your 3 papers have received at least 30 citations. W index, very simple index. Then comes K index, which was proposed by Brazilian physicist. See, it is an entirely different kind of connotations. See, number of articles citing a researcher that have at least K citations each. See, here they are not bothered about the number of citations. They are bothered about number of citations received by the papers that cited your paper. See, we have to look into citations received by the papers that cited your paper. So based on that, they are calculating K index. I give small example. Okay, yes. For example, thanks to Dr. K. Ganesan, I have taken his Google Scholar page. See, for example, Ganesan Sir's this particular paper has received 24 citations. Okay, I just click this to know what are those 24 papers and what is the number of citations received by each and every one of these 24 papers. So first paper 31 citations, second paper 27 citations. So I note down the citations received by all the 21 papers. So for example, out of these 21 papers, few papers have not received any citation, zero. I just throw them off, and all other papers I arrange the decreasing order. There are 17 papers, the paper with 31 citations. These are the citations received by the papers that cited your paper. Now you calculate H index of these papers. That's called a 9. 9 papers have received at least 9 citation. Your K index is 9. It is completely a new index. See, they don't bother about number of citations received by your paper, but they bother about the citations received by the papers that cite your paper. So it's entirely a new concept which can be tried. Then comes a scientific quality index. It is nothing but the total of two things. One is you should calculate the percent of papers that cited more than 10 times and the mean number of citations. If you total these two, you get scientific quality index. For example, you take this particular author. This author has published 24 papers. All the 24 papers are cited. After 24 papers, 22 papers have received 10 or more than 10 citations. So what is the percentage? 91.66% of his papers were cited 10 or more than 10 times. It's parameter 1. What's the parameter 2? Mean citation per paper. Total citation give a total paper. Okay. See, he gets 78.2. If you total these two, he get SQI, scientific quality indicator. This is another version. And finally, ZP index, an index which was proposed by Zoe. This is something very different index. See, whenever you talk about H index, G index, we are bothered more about the senior researchers. We bother about the faculty members who have been publishing papers for many years. But we don't have any specific index that can be used for the beginners. See, there is a research scholar, there is a postdoctoral fellow member, and there is a newly joined assistant professor. So they may be having only 2 to 3 to 4 years of publication experience. But how can we compare the research impact of these early career researchers? So this particular author is proposing an index called ZP index, which can be exclusive use for early career researchers. How the calculation goes is very simple. Very simple. I'll explain an example. A new professor who joined the college recently, he has got 3 publications, and one paper he's the first author, and he published it in a journal which has got an impact factor of 4.43. In another paper, he is the first author. In another paper, he is the third author. And both these papers are published in the journal which has got an impact factor of 4.88. Okay, fine. Now we are calculating his ZP index. Very simple. 4.43 impact factor of first journal multiplied by 1. 1 is the first author. He gets full credit into 1. And second paper also is the first author. Impact factor is 4.88 into 1. The third paper is a third author. So you should find out what is the weightage to be given to him using this particular formula. 1 by 2 to the power of number of authors minus 1. So number of authors in this paper is 3. 3 minus 1, 2. So 1 by 2 to the power of 1 by 2 is equal to 1 by 4. So 4.88 into 1 by 4. If you total all the 3, you get ZP index of this particular author, an index which can be used to measure the research impact of early career researchers without taking into account the number of citations received by them. We consider 2 things. One is the impact factor of the journals wherein they publish the papers. And secondly, the authorship weightage given to the different positions. Good. Yes. And this is the final index called publication popularity index, which was proposed by Horzik. He says, see how many people know your paper. See, there are many people. How many people have cited your paper in their research papers? Those many authors, that is called your popularity, publication popularity index. It's a very simple case. Okay, that is total number of non-repeating authors, without duplication, non-repeating authors that have cited a given publication at least once. Very simple. I'll give an example. See, this is a paper authored by this particular authors, and altogether 21 papers have cited this particular paper. Okay, this paper has received 21 citations. Now I am going to count the unique authors. Okay, the authors found in all the 21 papers. Non-repeating authors, I just count, they're in bold numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 21 authors found in these 21 papers without duplication, without repeating themselves. These 21 authors, they know this particular paper and they have added that paper in these journal articles. So this author's publication popularity is 21 because 21 authors know his paper and included his paper in their research papers. That is called publication productivity index. Good. So this way, my dear friends, we have got n number of research indices which can be used for measuring the research impact of individual authors. Every scientist or faculty members who propose different indices, they got different way of giving justification for their index. You may ask a question, sir, so many indices are there. Apart from the indices what I have discussed today, equal number of another set of indices are there which I have not covered today. Do I have to, whether I have to use all these indices? Maybe when my institution is asking me to give a performance review of my performance, research performance, maybe to my IQSC, maybe to my institution, do I need to use all these indices? Not, definitely not. But as an institution, your institution IQSC, maybe at the institution level, you can have a discussion, you can have a meeting of the research scholars, the researchers, both senior and junior faculty members. You can discuss and decide out of these many indices we have discussed today, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 indices which can be really useful for showcasing your institutional, your individual faculty members research productivity better. Maybe 5 indices or 6 indices you can agree upon. You can take a decision in your institutional level, and that can be used by you to showcase your research performance in a better way. Fine. So I feel that as a researchers, faculty members, share the information about these indices with your friends, with your colleagues, with your scholars. And when you are going to apply for some research projects, when you are going to apply for some research grants or research proposals or some seminars or conferences, or when you're going to attend some interview somewhere else, you try to include these new indices also in your resume, in your bio. That will help the people to understand better how productive, how impactful your research output is. So my best wishes to each and every one of you, and thank you so much for this great opportunity. I end my session here, and the session is open for questions, please. Thank you so much. Ma'am, if there are any questions from the audience, either you can ask questions or
No, sir, there is no question. It's very clear. That was a wonderful presentation, sir.
thank you, ma'am.
Ah. Prakati, can you take over?
Thank you, sir. Your prose and insights are truly illuminating. Gratitude can transform common days into illuminating. Thank you, sir. Your prose and insights are truly illuminating. Gratitude can transform common days into thanksgiving, turn routine jobs into joy and change ordinary opportunities into blessings. I request Pratiksha ma'am to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening to one and all present here. As we mark to the end of today's session, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. K. Ramaswamy, Sir, librarian at Muttaya Government Arts and Crafts College for Women. Your presence in this enlightening occasion and your perception was truly valuable. I extend my cordial gratitude to our program coordinator, Dr. V. Deepa Man, for instigating this conclave. I thank our HOD, Dr. Chitra Srinivasan, Ma'am, VP Admin and Academic Sir, and our Dean Sir for their support in organizing this interesting 3 weeks research methodology course. And finally, I thank all research scholars and faculties for their involvement. This session is a grand success. Once again, I thank you all for your presence and your dedication today. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
We are at this end of this session. The Department of Accounting and Finance at SRM Ramapuram once again reaffirms its commitment to nurturing a robust research culture that allies with global standards. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.